All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Ship It Nation, YouTube station? We are back with another edition of the NBA show. It's your boy Ham. It's Rio. Happy New Year to everyone. Hopefully everyone stayed safe last night. Rio, I'll bring you in right away. How was your New Year's and what's going on? How's your day going? Thank you.
Yeah, I got you. New Year's was good. Had a nice chill night with some buddies, a little whiskey, nice cigar, so it was a good night. This is a pretty gross slate. Just getting right into it. Like, I was doing a little bit of research on it last night, getting prepared for today, and everybody seems overpriced. Like, it's just crazy when you look at some of these prices. These are 2025 prices. Like, it's pretty wild. But so it seems like more of like a mid-tier build type of night. I don't know. Going to try to sift through all these games and see if we could find some gems, because it's gonna be pretty tough to build from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think so as well. Let's say hello to some people in the chat before we get going. Happy New Year's to everyone out there. Jordan, Sean Sullivan, Rick Rose, Big Ant, Anthony Massey, Jason Turner, Parabay, Wenzelot, Ross K, Cody Berry, Ryan Shepard, John, Wardo, as always, Neil Dog. What's going on, Neil Dog? Lyle's in the house. Michael W. Brent Jones in the house. What's going on, BJ? Michael Peterson, Gang Green, and Lakota Kid, yo, Mr. Crockett coming in there at the horn. You see Brent Jones' name in there, it throws you off there for a second. But my God, BJ's in the house. Hopefully everyone had a good and safe New Year's. Like I said earlier, we're going to get right into it. We got 6 games. We got 100K up top. We're going to do our best to break down these 6 games. And we got some flyweights that won't be playing tonight. Amen Thompson, Tyler Hero. They're on the undercard, but they will not be in the lineups tonight.
Hero didn't get suspended.
Okay.
Terry Rozier got suspended.
I got it for 1 game. That's right. If you get thrown to the ground, they don't throw you out, which he shouldn't. I mean, you don't get suspended, which he shouldn't have anyway. But we're going to get right into it. Amen Thompson not in the game. We have some other injuries we'll talk about. First game on the slate that we're going to get into. We're going to be going through the Stone. First game up is going to be, let me make sure I have this right, the Magic and the Pistons. Magic still without their big dogs. Pistons playing decent. Cade's always balling. But talk to me a little bit about this game. You got a 2-point spread. Pistons favored. 212-point total. Magic at Detroit.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be more of a defensive battle. I could see this game being really low scoring. Magic just continue to play really good defense regardless of who's in or out of the lineup. Just one of the best coach teams in the league. I definitely think that Jamal Mosley should be front runner for coach of the year, in my opinion. He's just doing a really good job with it. Tough, all these injuries that they're dealing with. I mean, you don't have 2 of the better players in the league, Franz and Paulo, out. But it actually does look like Paulo is going to be returning here pretty soon. He had his timeline for the injury was like mid-December or something like that, and so he's a little bit past that. But I think that he's targeting a return over the weekend, so definitely be getting healthier there, which is good. But yeah, as far as this game goes, not a ton of injury news outside of Anthony Black being listed questionable. It's a pretty big rotation piece. I believe if he were to miss, it's probably going to be Wendell Carter Jr. stepping back into the starting lineup. This game just doesn't really have a ton of fantasy appeal for me. I just see this game playing out really low scoring. I think if you're looking to attack anything in this game, it's going to be the guards, because the 2 main weaknesses for both teams has been their pick and roll defense. The issue is, like, you're paying $8.3K for Jalen Suggs, which I guess zooming out and looking at it in like the context of the slate, if pricing doesn't matter, I would look at him like a really good play. But he's kind of just run into some really bad situations with the injuries. He's left games mid game a lot of times with injuries. He's gotten into foul trouble, blowouts, all these different things. But I mean, he's playing really well. So if you get those full minutes from him, like we saw him play 38 against Milwaukee, put up 54 DK points, if that is on the table tonight, I do think that he would still be a pretty solid play at this price. But I just don't see myself needing to get up to Jalen Suggs tonight as much as I do like the matchup, but it's just going to be so low scoring. I think that Goga Bitadze is probably my favorite play on the Orlando side. Really tough matchup against the front court guys of Detroit. Their rim defense has been really good this season. But what I do like to see is the Pistons are one of the teams that attacks the basket at the highest rate, and that should lead to a lot of blocks and steals opportunities for Goga. And he's shown to be a pretty damn good shot blocker in the league, and the usage has been really good for him with Franz and Paolo out of the lineup, double-digit rebounds in a lot, like pretty much every game this season. So good chance that he gets a double-double here. Yeah, I think that he's probably my favorite option, 6.9K. You could look to some of these values on Orlando, like Tristan Da Silva and KCP. Jonathan Isaac, too, I guess, is kind of hitting some optimals, but not really guys I look to for upside most of the time. Tristan Da Silva has flashed upside, but you're also talking about a floor in the single digits, which is just very uncomfortable to click on. So don't really love those value plays on Detroit. I honestly might just X out this entire team. You can make a case for Asar Thompson playing a little bit more minutes as he gets closer to full health, dealing with those the blood clots that he was dealing with earlier this season. Played 24 minutes against Denver the last time out. Been kind of flirting around the 20-25 minute range, so he's definitely an option on a slate that doesn't really have a lot of great value. But I can't pay 10.6K for Cade as good as the matchup is for him. Maybe you could talk me onto some Jaden Ivey, but yeah, I don't love this game as a whole.
Yeah, makes sense with the way that the Magic play defense. No interest there for you. Not much for me either. Do have some interest in this next game. We got the Bulls, the fast-paced Bulls, and taking on the Wizards in the nation's capital. Capital. Can't say capital.
You got it.
Yeah, there you go. Jordan Poole, who's missed the last couple games, he is questionable, but I am showing he is trending towards playing. Zach LaVine, who I believe missed the other night as well. I think he's on track to play as well. Dosunmu is out. I don't see any other injuries, but if I missed any, let me know. But should be a lot of interest in this game with this high point total. Josh Giddey, Vooch, anybody on the Bulls or Wizards pique your interest, Rio?
Yeah, I mean, you always have to have interest in Bulls games just with how fast they play and how bad their defense has been all season long. They are playing a little bit better this month. I believe they're like 15th in the league in defensive rating, so definitely a big improvement from earlier this season, but the game environments have still been really good. They're still one of the worst rim defenses in the league. Their three-point defense is starting to get worse, and we know that the Wizards are dead last, or I think they're second to worst, right behind the Jazz for second worst defensive rated team in the league. But you're always looking to attack the Wizards. Nothing has changed there. It's just, I mean, I want to get into this game environment, but if you tell me that Jordan Poole is going to play, that pretty much takes me off of mostly all of the Wizards. Like, I would have interest in Malcolm Brogdon if Poole is out. It does suck that Kyle Kuzma is getting healthier too, because now we got Bilal Coulibaly at 6.7K. Normally, I would really like him in this matchup. Even at that price, you could talk me onto him if Poole and Kuzma were to be out. But if both those guys are in, I can't go there for him. Same thing for Brogdon. I would need Poole to be out for me to click on Brogdon's name. I think the only people I'm going to be playing on the Wizards are the bigs, Alex Sarr and Jonas Valanciunas. Normally, I have a max one rule of those two just because they don't share the court together. But with Sarr having power forward eligibility and the matchup being so good, I can see both of them getting there in the minutes that they get, because Joval is an elite point per minute producer. He only needs 18 to 21 minutes to really pay off in a big way. He's done it 3 out of the last 4 games, nearly 40 DK points in 3 of the last 4. And it's tougher matchups too. Put up 38.25 against the Knicks, and this is a much softer matchup. So I think you could talk me onto both of those guys. I think they're probably the two of the better mid-tier plays in my eyes. And Sarr is starting to play a lot better as of late as well, shooting the ball much better. And he can get hot from three-point range, which is good because he should have no issues scoring around the basket. So I think that he's a very strong play. The Chicago side, I probably won't get up to these the spend-up options from Kobe White up if LaVine were to be in. If he's out, I think you could get onto Giddey and Kobe White again. It is tough to click on Giddey at nearly 8K because he's not going to play 34 minutes. Like, he only played 30 minutes last game, and that's a game that went into overtime. So he's probably capped at like 30 to 32 minutes. I would say 32 is probably the high end for Giddey. He is a really good point per minute guy, right around 1.5 points per minute, fantasy points per minute with LaVine and Ayo off the court this season. So he can get it done in 28, 29 minutes. He showed that against Milwaukee where he had the triple-double. But you're really asking for a lot to kind of bank on him getting a triple-double if he's only going to play 29 to 30 minutes. So yeah, if Levine is in, not getting to these guys. If he's out, I think you could definitely click on Vooch and Kobe White. Vooch is tough because I love the matchup. The Wizards are dead last in DVP versus centers this season, but you're just probably not getting 60 from Vooch at this point of his career. Like, I just don't know if he has that within his range of outcomes. I have to check at his game log and see if he's even done that. I see 58 against San Antonio, which is probably his highest score of the season. And on this type of slate, 6 games, I guess just with the pricing being what it is, you could probably talk me onto Vooch a little bit. I love the matchup, but yeah, I don't know if I see that really high end ceiling that we would need from somebody at 9.1K. These value plays though on Chicago look pretty good though. Patrick Williams and Lonzo Ball, especially if Levine were to miss. Patrick Williams looks like the minutes limit is off for him, playing right around 30 minutes a night, 32 last game against Charlotte. So he doesn't really do a lot. Like, he's just kind of sitting in the corner. Maybe he can fall into a couple of rebounds and assists. But with the value being so bad in the slate, I think that he makes sense as a value play. And then Lonzo Ball, same thing for him. He's really good point per minute guy and playing mid 20 minutes likely, as they don't really want to give Lonzo Ball that many minutes. And this is a really good matchup. So I could get onto some Lonzo Ball tonight for sure. I think this is a kind of spot for him to pop off in a pretty big way.
Yeah, nice breakdown there. I saw that Kuzma, he did not start the other night. Is he slated to start? Let's see. We have him back at the starting lineup. You may not know, but do you know if he's going to be starting tonight?
I see him projected on Basketball Monster. They're usually pretty good with that stuff. He probably would start, but I would not be surprised to see Champagne continue to start. They do some weird things, like they might even start Bub Carrington and shift Koulibaly up to the 4. They really like Bub in the starting lineup. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think he would probably start, but yeah, we'll have to see it. It's first game of the night, so we'll have that news.
Yeah. And Bub, that Knicks, I think it was the Knicks game the other night. He went to the locker room, but I think he came back. So it sounds like he's healthy to go. Next up is going to be the Pelicans. A ton of injuries on the Pelicans. No new injuries. The same guys for the most part that have been out for quite some time. No Zion, no Brandon Ingram, no Terry Rozier, as you alluded to earlier. Obviously, he plays for the Heat, served his suspension for the evening. They do have DeJounte back. They do have CJ McCollum back, Trey Murphy. They're all shooting threes, and hopefully everyone in New Orleans safe and all those good things for the fine folks there in New Orleans. But we have the Pelicans at Miami. Talk to me a little bit about this game. Any interest from a DFS perspective in this one?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the Heat look pretty good here because the Pelicans have been a team to attack all season long. Their defense has just been abysmal. They're bottom 5 in the month of December, pretty much bottom 5 in every category. Their catch and shoot defense has been really bad. Rim defense is really bad. Transition D, all that stuff is really bad. They do have pretty decent on-ball defense with guys like Herb Jones and DeJounte Murray out there. But, yeah, definitely a spot to attack. The Miami defense has not been great. They're getting better, but generally have been pretty bad this season. Definitely like to attack Miami with shooters. So I like some of these pieces on the Pelicans, but I'll say that the only way I'm going to be getting onto some of these Pelicans is probably in the scenario where I expect the game to remain close. It's a nearly 10-point spread, so it's probably a good chance that they get blown out. But if they do keep it close, like these guys in the starting lineup are playing a ton of minutes. We probably see 39 from DeJounte, probably see like 36, 38 from CJ. Trey Murphy can play close to 40 minutes. Missy and Herb Jones are all guys will play a ton of minutes. I think that I probably want to have correlated plays in this game on the Pelican side. If I have any of those top 4 guys, I think you can play Herb Jones as a one-off, probably Missy too if you're looking to get there. But definitely if I'm playing any of Trey Murphy, CJ, and DeJounte Murray, I probably want to have a little game stack, a little correlation, one of Bam, Hero, or Jimmy Butler on the comeback. But the Miami side looks pretty good. Duncan Robinson is questionable, so that might open up some minutes. I honestly don't know who it would go to. With no Terry Rozier and no Duncan Robinson, it would make sense to get a little bit more minutes out of a guy like Alec Burks. So I think that he could probably make your player pool 3.4K, and maybe he plays in a blowout if they do blow this game out in a big way. And he can randomly, like, he has the 30-point DraftKings ceiling in him. He's done it as of late. Did against Orlando. He can, like, Spoelstra will dust off these guys every now and then. So I think this could be a sneaky spot for Alec Burks. Not somebody I'm looking to take a stand on by any means, But if you're playing in the big tournament tonight, or even in some of the smaller 150 maxes, I'd probably get a couple shares of him just in case he does get some more minutes. But yeah, the matchup is really good for Bam, Hero, and Jimmy. I think I like Bam the most at 8.7K. Really tough price tag. That's the theme of the slate. Everybody's overpriced, but we've looked to attack guys that score around the basket. So Bam and Jimmy are the guys that I would want. Bam and Hero will both see a little bit of a usage decrease with Jimmy returning. So it's really tough to get to them. I think, I don't know. It's really tough to get these guys at the price tag. I do love the matchup for all of them, but it's just they're so expensive. So I find it really hard unless we get some like random injury news. So that's kind of how I'm approaching this one.
Yeah, Gang Green. He mentioned Alec Burks, if no Robinson. Lonzo Ball or Alec Burks, assuming that, let's say Robinson is out. Lonzo or Alec?
I feel more safe playing a guy like Lonzo. Like, I know he's going to play minutes. Alec Burks could play 0, or he could play like 25.
He could play 25 and get you 0 too, but
he could also play 25 and get you 40.
Yeah, that's true too. But Alec Burks, man, I don't want to start my 2025 off rostering Alec Burks, but I digress. Yeah. Jake Swells, I'm watching here too. Scataboo is balling. If you're not watching that game, get on over there. Listen to us, watch that game. It's getting good. Peach Bowl. Moving on. We're halfway home already. Make sure you're hitting that like. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe. All 200 out there watching. We certainly appreciate it, especially on today. It's the first day of the year. So next game up on the docket for us is going to be the Jazz taking on the Knicks, headed to New York. The big boy spread 12.5. We know this Jazz team struggles defensively. We know this Knicks team, scores in bunches and have a lot of dudes that can play. Karl Anthony Towns, Cat, all the way up to 10-4. Big boy price tag for him. What are your thoughts on this game and, more importantly, on the Knicks?
Yeah, since I don't really love a lot of these other spots tonight, there's maybe one other game where you can get a little bit into outside of the Chicago and Washington game that we'll talk about. But I kind of just want to make it easy on myself. Like, I might realistically set a min 1 rule of one of these Knicks pieces because I feel very confident that one of these guys gets there in a pretty big way. You could have done that last time and probably got onto a lot of Josh Hart and Cat. I mean, both those guys were pretty good the last time we saw this team play, and that was against the Wizards. So this is kind of a similar spot. Like, the Jazz are dead last in defensive rating this season. Their transition defense is awful. They give up a ton of steals, first in turnover percentage this season. Their 3-point defense is awful. So, yeah, I think you just make it easy on yourself. Like, just jam in these Knicks guys. I definitely like the guys up top the most in terms of upside, Cat and Brunson. Really good DVP matches for both of them. Jazz are bottom 2, I believe, against centers and bottom 2 against point guards. So both of them should be in a really good spot here. I prefer Cat just because he'll play deeper in a blowout. Brunson dealing with the calf strain and probably the first guy to come out of the game in a big blowout. So, I mean, even if he misses too, also, like, you're locking in Miles McBride for a ton of minutes, which would be a great play tonight. I don't think he's going to miss, but it is a little worrisome that they're still listing him after playing 2 games with a questionable tag. This would probably be a good spot to give him the night off, I would say, but I don't think that Tibbs is really looking to give his guys nights off, that they're just going to play his guys into the ground. But, yeah, I think that both Cat and Brunson are in great spots here. I really like Hart, Bridges, and Anunoby tonight. Hart with the triple-double last game. We talked about that. Wish we, were a little bit more confident, got the bet in. But, yeah, I think that he's got a good chance to repeat that tonight. I mean, I like to play Hart in up-tempo game environments. I like to play him against teams with bad transition defenses, which is exactly what you get from the Jazz here. And then OG, I like a little bit more than McBride tonight. He's not shooting the ball as good as McBride was this month, but this could be a spot where you really see those steals spike. And in a bad transition defense, I think he's going to get a lot of easy looks around the rim. So I like all these Knicks pieces a ton here tonight. The Jazz side, probably not going to pay AK for Laurie, just a little bit too expensive. I don't mind Walker Kessler though. He got to 38 minutes last game against the Nuggets as he was matching Nikola Jokic's minutes. I think that could happen again here. They really like him against these superstar bigs. So if Cat's playing 36, 38 minutes and Walker's matching him, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he's got a really good chance to pay off in a big way because Cat, not the greatest rim protector. The Knicks' overall defense has been pretty good around the basket, but probably a lot of that likely due to guys like Josh Hart and OG Anunoby down there. But yeah, I mean, he could get a lot of easy looks around the basket. And if he's going to play 35 plus minutes, he's been really good this season. So I don't mind Walker Kessler at all. The guards should be in pretty good spots here as well. I like Keontae George the most at 5.6K, going to be really low owned. The pick and roll defense for the Knicks has been awful this season. I believe they're dead last in pick and roll defense this season. So it should be a good spot for Keontae George. Played 28 minutes last game, but should get back up to like the 32, 33-ish minutes range, and I think he's got pretty good upside. And you could talk me onto some Johnny Juzang as well if he's starting again, 3.2K. Got the start. Last time out, played 23 minutes. He's a really good shooter. Knicks can be had against three-point shooters at times, so this should be a pretty good matchup for him. But yeah, I like Kessler a good bit on the Jazz. I don't mind Keontae, and then Johnny Juzang looks pretty good.
Yeah, I remember last time, too, we talked a little bit about Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson running with that second unit. You talked about him on Monday when we were on the show, and he went out and put up, 30, almost 38 DraftKings points. So he was playing a bunch of minutes. So I don't hate him tonight taking on this Knicks team. OG, going to be popular. We're showing 23% ownership. That's kind of scares me. I don't know about you, but when I see OG that high, that scares me in GPPs. Moving on to the next game, we got the Nets. The new look Nets with the former net great coming back home. It's going to be a great homecoming for D'Angelo Russell. He's going to look good in those Nets colors again with all his great teammates taking on this Raptors team who is not very good. That's evident by their 40-point loss yesterday. But Rio, not going to be a pretty one in my opinion. But talk to me, any love for any of these Nets at the Raptors?
Yeah, before I get into that game, I wanted to kind of touch on some of the stuff in chat because we were talking about game stack of that Knicks game. I do think that is viable because the issue, like you have to expect the game to be close for the Jazz guys to get there because they will cut these guys, like they'll pull them out when the game's out of reach. The Jazz have been a little bit more competitive as of late. They kind of hung in there against Utah. So you don't need to force a bring back if you're playing Knicks pieces. Like we know those guys are going to play up until like the 2 to 3 minute mark, even if they're up by 30 points. Probably not more so for guys like Cat and Brunson, but Hart, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby are game script proof. Like they're going to be out there the whole game pretty much. But I don't mind mixing in like a Kessler, Keontae, and then those two of those wings, or even like Brunson. Probably I don't know if I want to play Cat with Walker Kessler. Just a lot of foul risk on both sides to kind of you're asking for a lot for both those guys to get there. It did work with Jokic and Kessler last time out, but probably asking for a little bit too much. I think if you're playing Kessler, probably want Brunson as a spend up or a couple of those wings, and then if you have like Cat, you probably want Keontae and maybe like Johnny Juzang or something like that. Yeah, getting back to this game though, the homecoming for D'Angelo Russell as the trade went through DFS to the Lakers looked pretty good in his first game last night with them. Yeah, we got to see what the starting lineup looks like. I'm seeing a projected starting lineup with D'Angelo Russell in there and Ben Simmons off the bench. I could see that happening just because Keon Johnson has been really good in the starting lineup. Cam Johnson going to be returning, and then Noah Clowney going to be sliding into the power forward position for Dorian Finney-Smith. I really like the spot for these Nets guys. There were some coach quotes about their offense being like it's obviously been terrible, but it's been I forget the word that he used, but just like it's just like out of whack pretty much. Like there's no structure to the offense. Adding a guy like D'Angelo Russell, as much shit as he gets, and probably deservedly so, he still is a vet in the league, and he's ran the point for better teams than this. So I think that he kind of provides something that they're looking for. Like no shade against Ben Simmons. He's just not like a true point guard. I don't really know like what he does great outside of being like he's a good passer, good rebounder, all that stuff, can run the floor, but it just doesn't – the offense doesn't look good with him running it. D'Angelo Russell, I think, could make this offense look a lot better. So I think that's a very big improvement for guys like Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson going to be playing off ball a lot more. He was kind of tasked with playing more of a higher usage role, which is not really his forte as a pro. So a lot more off ball stuff for him, and it's a good matchup for for the Nets guys as Toronto's getting beat all over the court. Transition defense has not been good. Rim defense is bad. Catch-and-shoot defense is bad. So I think that Cam Johnson looks pretty good here. I think Nick Claxton is going to improve a lot in terms of scoring, with there being a lot more floor spacing as he staggers away from Ben Simmons a lot, and paired him with D'Angelo Russell, who's a good passer. I think that he looks a lot better. I think D'Lo, if he's starting, even if he's coming off the bench, I think he's going to play a ton of minutes. Like, they just need his offense and his ability as a point guard. So I think he's probably the best value on the slate. And then Noah Clowney, I think he's going to play a ton of minutes now with no DFS. He's a young guy that they're pretty high on, so I think that he could step into a pretty big role, probably playing 28-plus minutes now, and a really good matchup. So I like him a lot. And then you could talk me onto some Day'Ron Sharpe as well. Max 1, Day'Ron, and Nick Claxton. He's 3.7K, good value there. The Toronto side, probably pretty tough to get to. Looks like they're going to be getting Emmanuel quickly back. I'm not sure if RJ Barrett is going to be healthy enough to play tonight. He's dealing with an illness. Have a lot of bigger injury tags too on Grady Dick and Jacoby Walter. So if those guys, like if all three of those miss, then you could talk me onto them. Probably would prefer Scotty at 10.1K just because he would have a really high usage role as a point guard. But they still have a pretty deep bench, so probably not going to be looking to get to too much of the Toronto side. I think that Barnes is probably the top option there. Maybe Pirtle, just because he's shown ceiling at times, and it's a really good matchup. Claxton has not been good as a defender this season, so I think that Pirtle is okay, but don't really love the Toronto side.
Yeah, I see a lot of chat talking about D'Lo shooting it 20 times. He looks very good over in our projections, showing the best value on the SHIPIT Nation projections. That always scares me, but I do think he is going to be, what has he got to lose at this point? So just chuck it up there, D'Lo, and see what happens. The last game that we're going to talk about on this slate, this is the DK main slate. You got Dallas taking on Houston. No Luka once again. No Thompson, who's serving his suspension. Kyrie Irving looks to be back. That's what I'm seeing. But talk to me a little bit about this game. No Najee Marshall either in this one. But talk to me a little bit about this game, Rio, with no Luka and no Thompson for the Rockets.
So they'll be getting Kyrie and Klay Thompson back tonight to add some more depth. Still no Derek Lively's still questionable, so that's a pretty big tag there, because I think you're probably looking to play a lot of Gafford. I do think that is sneaky good for Sengun as well, because the rim defense has been really bad without Derek Lively down there. When you the minutes without Gafford, you're talking about guys like Maxi Kleber and Dwight Powell, who are just not great defenders at this point of their career. The injury tag on Tari Eason is very interesting. He's been out for a while with the lower left leg injury. I didn't even know this, but I saw like a report last season, because he's had this injury tag for the last couple of years and he's missed a lot of time with it. I guess I don't know if I'm talking out of my ass here, but I thought that I saw a report that said that they found like a tumor on his leg, and I don't know what they had to do. Like maybe they got it removed last season, but this kind of alarming. I hope that they get that figured out, because he's an absolute stud. Him and Amen Thompson are probably two of the most exciting players to watch in NBA when they're sharing the court together. So hopefully they get that figured out. In terms of this game, though, the Dallas side, and this is just another theme with the slate. Like, these guys are too expensive. It's really tough to click on these names. Kyrie at 9.4K just hasn't showed that same ceiling that we're used to seeing from him with no Luka. Has played a lot better in the last couple of games. You really need like 40-plus points from him to pay off. He can definitely do that. He did really well in the first meeting against Houston this season, played 43 minutes, put up 49.5 DK points. Matchup is going to be really tough against Dylan Brooks, but there's a chance that he plays like 42 to 44 minutes tonight. And if that's the case, he'd probably still be fine. You're just not looking for ceiling from Kyrie at 9.4K. I mean, I just don't think you're getting ceiling from him at 9.4K is what I should say. It's a really tough click, but if he's playing 42-plus minutes tonight, then he's definitely in play. I probably won't get to any PJ Washington at 7.1K. Dinwiddie's kind of interesting. He's extremely overpriced, 6.8K. I would be okay paying that if Kyrie and Klay were to be out, but they're not. They're in tonight. But he's been really good as a starter this season, averaging 38.3 DK points per game. Jason Kidd seems to trust him a lot for a ton of minutes, so there's a chance that he plays like 36-plus minutes, because Jaden Hardy looked really bad. He even said that Hardy is rusty, and he looked really bad in that last game. Yeah, so this is a big game. So I think that they might just run Dinwiddie out there for a lot of minutes tonight. If we get like 38 out of him, I think that he could be sneaky good. I don't really want to play Clay at 6K in a tough matchup versus a team that doesn't allow any catch and shoot stuff, and he's not really shooting the ball all that good. I would definitely be looking to get to some Gafford if Lively gets ruled out, and then not get into any of these secondary pieces. I guess Kleba would be in play if Lively does get ruled out, but probably not. I mean, he just doesn't do anything when he's on the court, so probably not. The Houston side, a little bit better price tags here. 9.5K is reasonable for Sengun if Lively were to miss, because the Mavs' interior defense has been awful with him off the court this season. So I think this would be a really sneaky good spot for Sengun, looking at not a lot of ownership here. Fred VanVleet, too expensive for me at 7.5K. You really just need him to play like 40 minutes to get there. I just don't think that he's really got the ceiling that we need on the slate. I'm okay again down to Jalen Green. He's shooting the ball a lot better this month, taking a ton of shots, and he's a really good rebounding guard for his size. So I don't mind Jalen Green. Probably going to have a softer matchup depending on who they put on him. No thank you on Jabari Smith. Dylan Brooks is probably a pretty good value at 5.2K. He's playing a ton of minutes. He missed a couple of games, and then they said they were going to ease him in. Played 40 minutes. He's taking a ton of shots and actually shooting the ball really well this month. Scored 20 plus in 3 straight games. So yeah, I think that he makes a lot of sense as a value. But I don't know about these secondary guys. Like if Eason were to miss, I don't know how much that really changes things. Maybe Jay Sean Tate will play a little bit more. Maybe Cam Whitmore plays a little bit more. I guess Whitmore would be pretty interesting if Tari Eason were to miss this game, because no Alman Thompson would probably mean that he's going to play a good amount of minutes. So he would make some sense. Going against that second unit in Dallas that doesn't look like it's going to be very good defensively. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking about this game. I like Sengun a good bit here.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there. Yeah, Dinwiddie was 5,200. Played a bunch of minutes, had a good game. Now he's 6,800. It's way too big. Sengun or Cat as a pay up for you tonight? Another $900 difference in price, but if you take price out, who do you think is a better play on the evening? Michael Peterson wants to know.
I think Cat is. I think that the ceiling for Cat is probably a little bit better for Sengun or versus Sengun. Actually, I don't know about that. Sengun is playing really well. He's starting to play a ton of minutes, so I think the $900 probably goes a long way on the slate with how tight the pricing is. So I'd probably say Sengun.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. That's all 6 games on the DK main slate. If you want the 2-game slate for FanDuel, you can head on over to SHIPITNation.com where you can get all of the action over there. If you aren't a member over at SHIPIT Nation, you can head over there now. Enter the promo code PGA100. That'll give you $100 off of any annual PGA package. That'll get you all access through the Super Bowl as well. We certainly appreciate you tuning in on this day, going through the stone. Rio, any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
No, not really. I was checking out the FanDuel slate really quick since we got the show done pretty quickly. But yeah, I don't play a lot over there, so it's really tough. But that Atlanta Denver game looks very enticing as a game stack with that total looking like it's the highest on the slate, I believe. Yeah, higher than the Chicago Washington one. So that one looks pretty interesting. Obviously, Jokic is a great play any night of the week, but there was a midday downgrade to Jalen Johnson, so probably not enough value to backload. I think DeAndre Hunter will probably look pretty good there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to touch on that really quick because I know that we don't really talk about FanDuel that much. There are still some people in our Discord and in the YouTube chat that play FanDuel. So,
yep. Well, if you're a member at SHIPIT Nation, you can certainly reach out to us in the Discord. If you aren't a member at SHIPIT Nation, come on over. We'd love to have you over there in our Discord. No better Discord in the industry. That'll do it for us. We will be back. I guess I'll be back Friday. No show tomorrow, I don't believe. We'll be back Friday with my guy BJ. For Rio, I'm Ham. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards. Let's ship it.